I believe Africa must find a way for Africa to work with Africa. And when I say that, African Airlines with African Airlines, African tourism boards with African tourism boards, African press with African press. So we have a wholesome approach to face these difficult, challenging times that the world is facing today.
It is important that we do not lose focus as Africans.
So what Africa needs to do, for me, is to carry more of African passengers within Africa and increase the percentage of the market.
Our coming here was intended to position you as players in the industry, to position Uganda as the #1 tourist destination.
This has been a very successful event, and Uganda Tourism Board, we are promising to do it better in 2021. Welcome to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Board to bring together travel agents, tour operators, hoteliers, destination managers, and other service providers in the tourism business. Is a unique opportunity for tourism businesses to meet new clients, network, and market their services and products.
I've been able to see 80% of the tour operators I would not have seen if I was to do door-to-door marketing.
Since we started coming in 2016, we have had an exponential increment in Ugandans coming all the way to destination Diani.
The 4th edition of Poate took place on 4th to 6th February 2020. Poate brought together the best products Uganda has to offer. Hand-picked international buyers and select travel media were invited for familiarization trips in different parts of Uganda to have a first-hand experience and promote what they know better to the rest of the world.
First experience in Africa, and it's great. It's going great.
We now reach the source of the river Nile. This is how the Nile begins officially.
I'm very fascinated. I never saw it before. That's the River Nile. It's so widespread. You can look at it for minutes, perhaps more, and just meditate on that big, huge river. It's like a small ocean.
When people like myself come out like this and showcase and show people back home that, listen here, the Uganda you have probably seen on TV is not the Uganda that I have experienced. So definitely I'm going to be creating packages around safari, around adventure holiday for the people back home.
The Expo also gave participants an opportunity to grow their business and expand their knowledge base by offering 2 days business-to-business meetings, which effectively helped participants.
If we exploited the opportunities that we have as a people, I can assure you we'll be fine. We need to find a time where me, the investor, is trusted, me, the entrepreneur, is trusted, and you, the investor, can be able to trust me by long term. You're not going to invest with me to be able to get returns overnight.
I believe Africa must find a way for Africa to work with Africa. And when I say that, African Airlines with African Airlines, African tourism boards with African tourism boards, African press with African press. So we have a wholesome approach to face these difficult, challenging times that the world is facing today.
It is important that we do not lose focus as Africans.
So what Africa needs to do for me is to carry more
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome from Cape Town. I am so sorry that I cannot be in Uganda right now, and I trust you're all having a fantastic show. Warm welcome as well from SITE Africa. For those who are not familiar, SITE stands for the Society for Incentive Travel Excellence, and we'll take a bit more of a look into what that means. Let me share my screen. Here we go, that's me. My name is Tess Pruis, and I am the president of SITE Africa, being one of the 32 chapters within the SITE family. So what is SITE about? As I said, it's the Society for Incentive Travel Excellence, and we are the only association globally that is focused on excellence in incentive travel. So truly global, with over 2,000 members, 90 countries and 32 chapters. And we are, of course, the voice of the incentive travel industry. What is our mission? It is advancing the business case for incentive travel and motivational experiences through global connections, education, and advocacy. Our vision? Building and bridging cultures through the transformative power of incentive travel and motivational experiences. Now, unfortunately, we do not have time for me to go into too much detail as to the importance of motivational travel, but incentive travel has been proved to be the greatest motivating tool within companies. So our priorities are as follows. It is community, it's education, advocacy, and operational excellence. Now, this past year certainly has proved the community factor. Our SITE presidents have rallied together. We have seen the most amazing leadership coming through. We've had weekly phone calls in support of each other. And I can safely say that I've made 30 new friends this past year, just by community and support through SITE leadership. Education, very important. It's something that we keep driving. Advocacy, of course, case studies of our success stories, very important for clients to see that. And I'll touch on our SITE Crystal Awards, which rewards some of the best motivational travel programs around the globe. And of course, operational excellence. Without operational excellence, incentive programs will be a failure. So very important for all our destinations to make sure that we deliver the best, that our skills levels are constantly being developed and looked after. So who are our audiences? Of course, our members, the industry, business, who are our clients, and of course, society, both domestically where we operate and the destinations that we take our groups to. What is our value proposition? Education, as I mentioned before, absolutely critical. We have tremendous support with a toolbox that's available online for various aspects of our business. Research and advocacy, absolutely critical. And part of the research is the reason why I can present some of these facts and figures to you today. It certainly helps us make better decisions and understand things better. The connections are critical. Our networking capacity is phenomenal and absolutely important. And we can dive into that a little bit later as well. As I said, we don't have time to explore all these factors that I'm talking about today, but please pop your questions in the chat room. I'll try and get back to you as much as I can. If we don't have time, you'll have my contact details at the end, and you're more than welcome to fire off any questions after the event. And of course, our professional certification is also wonderful and constantly being developed. Our value proposition is to be part of the world's only professional association dedicated exclusively to incentive travel and its impact on individuals, destinations, businesses, and the society at large. So who are our members? Just a quick look, we're looking at incentive houses, corporations, airlines and cruise companies, production companies, hotels, and of course the DMCs, who do all the land arrangements, and of course all the talent that they subcontract in order to make those programs a success. So here's the good news. Looking at the financial impact of incentive travel globally, and these are 2019 figures, by the way, globally the spend was $1.07 trillion across business events. Incentive travel alone bagged $75 billion. It's been the fastest growing sector within MICE, and of course, incentives is the I in MICE, MICE being meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. It also yields the highest per person spend, and I'll show you a bit about that later. It has the widest economic impact, looking at the ecosystem that our DMCs work in with a number of suppliers and partners to make those programs successful. And of course, it is the best performing sector within group travel. So here, let's have a look at the figures. So 2019, there was approximately 1.4 billion participants in business events. And with business events, we're talking across the MICE sector. The average spend was $761 per person. Of course, one has to take into consideration, not everybody has to travel. You might be a local delegate. Some of them might be short haul, and of course, then there's the long haul events. The global impact of incentive travel came in around 127 billion in total economic impact. Breaking it down a bit, the US market spend per person on an incentive trip 2019, almost $5,500. The UK coming in just over $5,000. Mexico, a whopping $6,000, almost $6,200. India, very surprising, almost $6,000. And Thailand coming in at a very decent $3,100. Comparing that to an average conference delegate spend within South Africa, looking at about $1,700, and that's over approximately a 4-night conference stay. Let's have a look at the Incentive Travel Industry Index. These figures were recorded in September, October of 2020, so right in the middle of the pandemic. And there's a few interesting facts and figures that came out that I'd quickly like to share with you. Firstly, thank you to all our sponsors. And a quick look at the demographics. Almost 3,000 submissions, 41 source markets, 91 destinations, and data from 19 industry verticals. Top 5 being finance and insurance, automotive, pharmaceutical, IT, and direct selling. Geographically, our North American component was the strongest, being 43%, Asia Pacific at 14%, Latin America 9%, and the Middle East and Africa at 34%. So there's been a very interesting impact globally as a result of COVID-19, and of course the most obvious one being reduced budgets, reduced company hours, and so on. Very interesting to see that there was a 7% closure or restructure of businesses. So let's have a look at Africa, the Middle East and Africa. Very similar, although slightly more sad, is 11% on businesses that have closed and restructured. All that said, though, it's not all negative. Some companies successfully managed to explore other revenue streams. One big thing that came out was people having to work from home. So there's been a better balance between work and family time. Although I have to say, I feel for the parents who had to now homeschool children and work, try and work while you still got a family to raise and kids to school. But at least there's been more quality time at home. Another thing that's happened is people started upskilling, reskilling, multi-skilling, generally teaching themselves. There's been a flurry of online courses at much reduced prices, some even free. That was great to help people within our industry reskill for other industries. In fact, our talent brain drain is another separate topic altogether. But that said, we definitely need to focus on upskilling ourselves now so that we are ready for when business does come back. Just having a quick look at some of the forecasts, and of course, pretty much a guessing game at this stage. Certainly was in September, October. Taking a look at global, 2020, we took a 67% hit in revenues. For 2021, the forecast was looking a bit better, going into 41% loss compared to the previous year. A bit of a better glimpse towards 2022, and the forecast for 23 is to exceed 2019 performances. Although since this information was gathered, we've had the third wave, or a second wave, and now going into a third wave. So these figures might change, but we'll have to update as soon as we have an opportunity for a new survey. Looking at destination selection, this is specifically within North American buyers. Very interesting to see that within 2018, Africa didn't really feature on the American wish list. As we know, the Americans tend to visit their regional states and nearby countries such as the Caribbean, Mexico, and of course neighboring states. 2019, it was a slightly different picture, but Africa is still not featuring. Then looking at 2020, very interesting, other Africa features. Also, let me just clarify, these are the top 10 destinations. It doesn't mean that 2018, 2019, Africa didn't feature at all. We just weren't in the top 10. But what does other Africa mean? So traditionally, we're looking at Southern Africa with the obvious countries, and of course, North Africa with your preferred incentive destinations over there, West Africa, East Africa, traditionally viewed as Tanzania and Kenya being the safari destinations. What does other Africa mean? Well, we could speculate on that, but I'd like to think that the likes of Rwanda, who's been very successful in their development recently, and excuse me, of course, Uganda, that is really, really getting to top of people's minds. So those are the developing destinations. And I'd really like to think that Uganda is one of those destinations that's becoming front of mind in people's buying decisions. And that is absolutely through good destination marketing and creating awareness. Of course, our islands could also be included in there, like Mauritius, Maldives, Comores, and Seychelles. But I really feel that the East Africa factor is up there. And there's certainly been an awareness for people not living in Africa that there is another East Africa, not necessarily safari related, but with really unique, amazing, exotic experiences. And Uganda is right up there. So, excuse me, top destinations for UK buyers. Let's have a look. Africa features a little bit better in there. So 2018, just get the blocks up. So the Gulf states were there for the Middle East and, of course, Southern Africa. Good to see them featuring in the top 10. 2019, Southern Africa was a bit more popular. And, of course, 2020, other Africa comes up. So why would that be? My guess would be that many of the UK companies would have done Southern Africa and the classic Safari East Africa already, and are now starting to look at the new emerging destinations. And again, Uganda, I'd say you're right up there. So what is important in a program designed for an incentive group? So 2019, these were the top 4 respondents from the companies who create the incentive trips for their employees: cultural experiences, group dining, team building, and of course the luxury or bucket list experiences. Definitely showing that connectivity is very high on the corporate list of objectives. So 2020, that has changed somewhat. So the luxury and bucket list experience certainly featured prominently at number 1, the cultural experiences, CSR, and wellness. So that shows us that there's been a complete shift in what is important. And I think the pandemic has had a direct impact on that. Because for many companies, especially American clients, and of course some of our Asian clients, the groups have always been large, 200 plus. Lots of glitz and glamour and really wow VIP experiences. But the pandemic has caused people to sit back and pay attention. So now we've got to look at social distancing, we've got to look at COVID-19 protocols and all these good things. So what we might see going into the future are smaller groups, more bespoke groups, looking at exclusively booking smaller properties, your boutique hotels and your smaller luxury lodges. Possibly even glamping. We're talking about glamorous camping, and I really think there's a fantastic opportunity for that in Africa, because I mean, Africa, we've got wide open spaces, lots of fresh air, so social distancing certainly is not a problem. So it's creating those experiences. And I love how one of my colleagues in site called it, it's travel with a conscience, in fact. It's on the slide that he created for me. People are definitely more conscious about what's going on around them. The SDGs have become extremely important. And it's really about immersive experiences and meaningful experiences. And Africa certainly offers that in abundance. Having a quick shift in program characteristics, I'm not going to waste too much time on this, just to explain the dark blue, which you'll see towards the end of the bars, are the long-term shift towards the item. Light blue would be a temporary shift towards an item. Gray, no change. Light red is a temporary shift away. Dark red, a long-term shift away. So as I said, I'm not going to dig too deep into this, but we can have a quick look, and I'm very happy to share these slides with you afterwards. So very interesting to see that there's been an increase in the interest of using new destinations that's not been used before. So Africa, pay attention. Uganda, I think you're right up there. People are definitely looking your way. Beach destinations, there's an increase there. Again, fresh air and open spaces. Although, judging by the grey area, it's not changed too much. Having a look at remote resorts, and of course, large urban, massive decreases. Very interesting to note. So just looking at all-inclusive resorts, the American client generally prefers all-inclusive. They want one bill to pay with no frills, no hassles, no fuss. So with any developments, if you can create an all-inclusive package for your clients, that is always attractive. Cruise ships, of course, have taken a massive, massive knock, many of them not operating anymore. Very interesting here, all over participant safety. Safety has always been priority for us, but it's even more so now for the clients, and we really got to look very carefully at our pricing policies, our payment cancellation policies, deposits, and of course our insurance. So in summary, The EMEA region has been impacted by the COVID-19, showing a strong impact on closure of business and reduction in staff and salaries and all those things. I think we've all felt it. It's been less impacted in 2020 than other regions. And it's very important to note we've had a very interesting phenomenon where, apart from South Africa, the infections across Africa have been very low comparatively. We are seeing a third wave, though, but the numbers are still nowhere near the rest of the world, and it's important that we keep it that way. Interesting that we've not been on the radar for US buyers except for other Africa. Like I said, bear in mind it was the top 10. It wasn't that Africa was completely off the radar. And then, of course, a dramatic refocus on program inclusions, those bucket list experiences, very, very important. We'll see a lot more smaller groups, which is good for our destinations. Top experiences, absolutely paramount. And then, of course, interesting data around the program characteristics. Well, I think I'm officially out of time, so I'm going to stop there. I'll share my contact details with you now. I'm very happy to take your questions and discussions outside this event if we don't have enough time to look at all your Q&As from here. And with that, let me hand over to our organizers. And thank you very much. Greetings. Very good to see everybody. So far, I have one question, and that is how can I help promote mice in Uganda? Well, that is a very good question. I think it has to be a collective effort from within the mice society that exists. I saw a great talk yesterday with some of your mice experts, and I really think it's important for the community to stand together. Also very important to look at developing a convention bureau. I know some of my colleagues have been talking to the government in that regard, and it's making sure that you deliver absolutely the facilities and service that these markets demand. What are the expectations of your clients? But also we need to educate our clients that Africa has its own special offerings. So what might work fantastically in New York might not work in Uganda. And I think it's very important for us to showcase you know, what we have to offer, what is unique about our destinations, and you know, help people understand. And this is, we know what experiences we can offer. It's certainly not your glitz and glamour, although we do have some of that in some of our destinations. But I think the big wide open spaces and unique experiences really is what will draw a lot of people, because people are looking for unique, bespoke experiences. I see another question is what makes a good MICE destination? Well, as we know, MICE stands for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. Let's focus on the I in MICE, which is incentive travel. And in that case, it's all about the experience. People need to walk away and say, this was a trip of a lifetime. It's got to be a bucket list. We've all heard about bucket list experiences. It's really something that people ordinarily wouldn't plan for themselves or book for themselves, and certainly not a standard experience that you can book off a tourist brochure. Many of our award-winning incentive programs are programs that were tailored to the client's objectives. And it's very important for us as incentive providers, the DMCs of the world, to understand the client's objectives. We need to ask the right questions. We need to understand the culture of the industry and of each company. All those companies have a unique personality. You cannot copy and paste an incentive trip. And I think it's important to understand that. I see we are going into live. I'm now handing over to the moderator of the MICE panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our viewers, our members up there or listening to us or to listening to this great panel and the presentation that has just been made by Tace from South Africa. Tace, thank you for being part of this Great Poverty online event. We have had a number of discussions and engagement with you while I was in Rwanda. It's such a great honor to hear that you're sharing with us even here in Uganda. There's a lot that we learn from South Africa as a great MICE destination, and thank you for continuing to share. This afternoon, I'll introduce the panel that is going to help us or that is going to digest. But before I do that, allow me to remove my mask because I'm a number of meters away from the panelists. It is within agreeable social distancing. Some of the challenges that have come with the COVID, as we shall be also seeing in the this panel discussion. Allow me to introduce in Uganda. On my extreme right is Peter Kagwa, Musajja wa Kabaka. Thank you for representing the region. He's very dressed. This is our cultural wear in this region, and it is a traditional culture wear, I think, now for all men in Uganda. Peter Kagwa is the director of Events Warehouse. He's a household name in this area of organizing events. Thank you, Peter. You can say hello to the viewers.
Thank you very much, Richard. Great pleasure to be here this afternoon.
Next is Peter Mwanja. By coincidence, these people have a commonality in the first names. Peter Mwanja is the director of Last Events. He's also the current acting chairperson of the Association of the Events in Uganda, and is one of those that have been heavily trying to ensure that MICE is well structured in Uganda. Peter, you can say hello to the viewers.
Thank you, Richard. Good afternoon to all our viewers and listeners.
Then next to Peter, we have one of our leading general managers in the hotel industry, Jean-Philippe Bettencourt. You're most welcome. I'm sure you are in position to remove your mask. Jean-Philippe is the GM of Sheraton Hotel, where we are today, and of course with a wealth of industrial knowledge on how hotels can be able to promote MICE in our destination. He'll be sharing with us. Jean, you're most welcome. You can say hello to the viewers.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Poate and to Sheraton Kampala, which is hosting this event today. It's a great pleasure to be part of this panel, and I hope the discussion will be very rich.
Thank you, Jean. Next to Jean is one of our industrial experts and captains. Miss Barbara Adoso, the director of Astronaut Safaris and Events. Barbara, when you talk about events, you can't miss the name Barbara. Barbara, you're most welcome, and I'm very sure that everybody is prepared to hear from you. Barbara, you can say hello to the viewers.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Adoso Van Helepute, and just to add, I'm actually the director of MICE Uganda, and then Astronaut Safaris and Incentives. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Then on my immediate right is Miss Allen Ampire. Miss Allen Ampire is the marketing manager of Serena Hotel Kampala. She has been in this industry, and she actually knows very well if we are to be able to push our domestic MICE forward, what should we do? Thank you very much for being with us, Miss Allen Ampire. Please, you can say hello to our viewers.
Good evening, viewers. It's my pleasure to be on this panel, and I believe it's going to be very productive. Thank you.
Yes, that's the team. Those are the great panelists we have today. And we will be dissecting things from how were we before COVID, how COVID has impacted us, and what is the way forward for the MICE industry in Uganda. How do we position Uganda to be the best MICE destination in the region? So those are some of the things we're going to be discussing. While you're out there, please, feel free to send in your questions. Feel free to send in your contributions online. The technical team will be able to receive them and share them with the panelists so that we can be able to answer them. Online, live, we have Ms. Tace Prose, the president of SITE, who has just finished making her presentation. Tace, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, like our previous presenters mentioned, MICE is one of the biggest drivers of tourism, because we have two segments of tourism. We have the business tourism and we have the leisure tourism. Now, the business tourism is largely driven by MICE, which has been ably explained, which is the meetings, incentive travel, events, conferences, and exhibitions. So ideally, if I talk about business tourism, you cannot escape talking about the acronym of the word MICE. We'll start straight away. We really understand that in the current situation, COVID has really impacted this industry, because ideally this is a MICE event that we're in. Poate is a MICE event. We would have had this room full of people, but because of COVID, we are going online. We're emphasizing social distancing. We have very few people. So this has posed a very huge challenge for our industry to go forward, to make money. And as industrial experts, we must understand, we must see how are we going to continue this business of MICE, especially with the new emerging challenges that has been brought by COVID. We will be able to get our responses from our viewers. You can take note. Peter will take lead on that. What is it that we can be able to do? How has COVID impacted on us as a destination? And what are those areas that we can be able to lead? And then we'll look at the technologies that have entered this industry. Right now we are live. We are executing a MICE event. People are listening on to us. But largely, are we making business? So we will be able to look at these technologies, how they have disrupted the industry, How can we leverage on them, but still make mice workable and a business? So, Peter, now let me use the surnames. Kagwa. Kagwa, you will take lead, and other people will be able to also participate. So basically, then we'll go to the other members who make a contribution. We shall also see how we position Uganda. What are those things that Uganda should do to become the next best destination for mice in the region? Ms. Barbara will lead on that discussion, and the others will also chip in. And Mr. Bitcourt and Alan will lead us on how do we leverage on the current domestic tourism market, mice market. How do we build on that, and how do we make it a business sense? Thank you very much. Those will be through, and as our viewers, you're free to send in a few questions. So right away, I will go to Peter, this time Mwanja. Yes, you observe, certainly we are numbered in this room. We have ideally been full in number. COVID has impacted us. COVID has introduced new dimensions of doing business. What is your view? What are your what can you share with the people, the people out there, on the challenges, the impacts, and how do we take mice as a business after this COVID? What is that we need to do? Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you everyone who's here. I'll start with the challenges that we are facing in the advent of COVID. First, in our households, we've lost touch. We all used to travel, we used to meet, we used to hug. It doesn't happen anymore. That comes with a lot of lost jobs. It comes with a lot of bad social media. We've come up to a time where a lot of platforms are reborn and people are giving us false news. If somebody, for example, goes onto social media and says, Uganda had 100 deaths of COVID today, it brings to a cancellation of all the business that we've had in the line. So, yeah, we've had a lot of youth and women running unemployed. We've had the birth on the positive side of hybrid events. So now we can have meetings with people that we can't see or that we can see online, which is not really what we're used to. So it's given us a lost time. It's given us a lost touch. We've had business cancellations, and that means that even the taxman, for example, does not have anything to take away. So, yeah, COVID has brought a lot of unprecedented challenges, and unfortunately, we have to work through that. Now, where do we want to go working through the challenges that COVID has brought us? We are now looking on the domestic market. We're looking at incentives, and we're looking at the corporate market. We have to harness our corporate companies here and take them, for example, into Lake Victoria. We've got to harness our corporate markets to have conferences here rather than travel. So that is one way that's going to reignite our recovery. We are going to have to look at African solutions and create domestic solutions. Right now, as we speak, about 24% of Africa is under lockdown or inaccessible to travel. That means that if you have a client that is coming through Kenya and Tanzania and end up into Uganda, Kenya is closed. We can't have that person here because the circuit is broken. That's the impact. When Kenya coughs, Uganda is sneezing. So we've got to harness incentives and corporates. But we also have to find ways of salvaging lost conferences. A lot of them had been booked to be in 2021. We now have to try and get the organizers to bring them back, even if it is 2023. That's keeping us very busy. But we also have to do a lot of collaborations. We're now dealing with an African solution. As I said, 24% of Africa is closed. So the other 76 is open. We need to lobby, we can lobby the other open 76% to come here. We're after all able now to do hybrid. We're now able to sit like we're sitting now. So that's not a lost opportunity. We can tap into that. But also, most importantly, in the wake of this COVID, because it's still here, we have to revisit the true value of our destination, the destination of Uganda. There's a lot that even the domestic market does not know. So things like the Lake Victoria, the River Nile, things like the lodges that we have in our national parks. This is what we have to reinvent. Of course, on top of the hotels like the Sheraton that we're in now, we've got to revisit and rebrand the country. This is the only way we shall reboot tourism, I think, across all Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for bringing out those key issues. How do we, at the moment, leverage on the MICE in the COVID, igniting incentives for the corporate organizations, salvaging the lost conferences to give hope to the industry, building a lot of collaborations, very important points put out there. The hybrid events take me to the key question of technology and the events. How, Peter Kagwa, how do we maneuver through this? How do we leverage on this technology that has disrupted, created the hybrid events, but still also make money? Because we know that money mostly in events comes through the physical payment. For example, the organizers would be, if there were so many physical people present, would be having good cash flows. But now we have the hybrid events. Having been in the industry for some time, how do we leverage these technologies to still help you make business, but also other people in the value chain also make business? Yes, this time, Peter Kagwa.
Thank you very much, Richard. I'm glad you bring up the word money, because you'll appreciate that during this COVID period, money has not been a major driver of many things that we're doing, but just to survive and stay relevant, you know, that's what we've sort of been focusing on. Nothing will beat face-to-face events. Nothing will beat face-to-face interactions, even if you've got all sorts of technology coming up. But we need to appreciate that it will take a little while for us to get back where we used to be. So we need some sort of interim solutions as we gradually get back into that. Even with that, we need to appreciate that we are going to have to deal with a new, as you call it, hybrid style of working, where you've got partially people attending physically and then some engaging virtually or digitally. And as much as that has been very useful, we see a big role that is going to play in the future. For me, this brings a mega opportunity. I know we have been hit and a lot of things have slowed down because we're traditionally used to being stuck in having face-to-face engagements, but we have very, very big opportunities. One, now you've got more people mobile, although virtually mobile. Just today, we're able to have speakers from around the world, which previously was going to be very difficult, and that trend is going to stick. So that, for example, we could easily travel to, say, Queen Elizabeth National Park and have still a guest speaker come on from New York or from wherever. So the fact that people are now able to stream, people are able to share stuff digitally, gives us bigger opportunities. We've got opportunities for our young people and people in the tech industry to develop apps and solutions for us to engage more. You see more digital exhibitions taking place. People can now get into a booth, speak to somebody, share ideas, and without physically attending. The future is very is very bright with artificial intelligence. We all hold around smartphones, but little do we know that there's a lot of material being collected, data being collected onto there. You've got things, as I just said, you've got things like holograms coming up, where today you could have, you know, someone from Microsoft standing right here in a hologram speaking to us in real time. So technology has taken away from us, but I think there's a big opportunity for us to harness it while we wait for the face-to-face engagement, because without a doubt, we still need the face-to-face engagements. You need to go and see the gorillas, you know, apart from seeing them on your phone all the time. So that will not go away, but we need to learn how to live with it and also join the world in moving quite fast, because the world is moving. If you see what's happening in Dubai, they're flying with digital technology in the same mice space, so we can't be lagging behind. We need to embrace it and forget about what it used to be and just move forward with what we have now. Yeah, it's, you know, there's a lot that's been happening during this time. We've been involved in some meetings that there's some regulatory meetings that events had to do. For example, you've got annual general meetings for several corporates, you've got stakeholders, shareholders across the world, and you can't say we'll skip the AGM. Events, people have to provide a solution. It's got to be a digital solution where you've got people doing online voting, some people in the room and the rest of them at home. And that will continue because some people don't have to travel anymore, because we now have digital solutions for people to engage and interact. And the same goes for entertainment and all other things. So digital came in. It might kill a few of the conventional things, but let's embrace it, and I think it's going to take us forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter Kagwa. Peter Kagwa, you've been in this industry, and I'm happy that you're saying that, okay, right now, it can never be business as usual. The technology has come in the industry, in the mice industry. We must embrace it. We must find ways of plugging in so that we can move with the rest of the world. The questions around here are, how do you prepare yourself to move to the next step? How do you cost a live event? How do you make money? Those are some of the key questions that will be coming back to you as you think. How does a mice player here, like yourself, who is an event organizer, make money through an hybrid event? How do you make money? Those are some of the key questions that are coming back to you. We are saying, yes, let's move. It's very easy to say that, but how do we move? What are the enabling instruments, environments that needs to be created to make you as an event organizer a real embrace the technologies and make money? We'll be coming back to you, Peter, later on. You could be able to prepare that. Thank you very much, Peter. We move on to how do we, this goes to Bittencourt. Hopefully this time I pronounced the name the right way. You know, his name is very complicated. It's French in pronunciation. And for me, I exited the French class at the earliest possible time. Yes, Philippe, the domestic mice, the domestic industry, as the world grapples with the pandemic, as there are restrictions on travel, we have to build on our domestic industry. Having been a general manager for Sheraton for some time, you definitely know how much the mice industry has been contributing to your revenues. And the key question here is, how do we make this domestic market work in this current situation, and even post-COVID? How do we make Ugandans appreciate this business industry, the mice, the travel, the incentives, so that we can be able to have our hotels make business? Yes, Jean.
You pronounce very well my name. It's Bittencourt. It's easy. And I'm used also to people to call me JP Bittencourt. It's fine. Okay, I just before answering your question, I would like to join my colleagues here. Yes, COVID has been terrible for all of us, and but it's something that came and is changing completely our way of living, our way of interacting, our way of consuming, our way of working, and I believe it's not a temporary change. Definitely, we might move to better times where there will be a new reassurance that people are vaccinated, we will start traveling again. But when you hear certain predictions, other pandemics can come in the future. We will be much more ready for that. And I think that COVID was a great opportunity for all of us to rethink about the way we live, about the way we do business, and the way we interact. I don't think that we will go back. We can be nostalgic about how things were before, but I don't believe we go back to what it was. It will go back certain things, but in a different way. And I think the most beautiful thing is that spirit of I would say, resilience, and especially the push in creativity, innovation that has been there, how we can recreate the world, how we can redo our business. And that's what I think most of us in our different areas we have been working. The hotel business definitely was extremely impacted, but we look, and it might be the last sector to recover, that's what we hear. But I'm sure that we will come with a lot of creativity, new things, new offers. And I think it's all about, now if we talk about how MICE will be locally, or one day maybe we start getting again regional clients and international clientele, it all will depend on how we face, how we provide these guys with new experiences. And I think we are thinking about a lot of different ways of doing this business. People overall are looking for experiences to go through different things that they haven't tried before. Ugandans are discovering the country, as far as I understand, and I think that we need to integrate that. And I'm very glad for and thankful for the response of the local market to what we have been offering. We immediately saw the first sector that really came very strong, bringing business to us, are the MICE, or social events, weddings, celebrations, and then we need to make things different, give value, offer differentiated experience that people really feel that it's worthwhile what they are coming. And I think, of course, we mentioned here the technology. The technology factor is extremely important, and of course it represents a high cost for a hotel, so it's very important that we have partnerships with event companies, with technology companies that can provide the platforms. We are living here today an example of that. I mean, we are doing a virtual exhibition conference. It's fantastic. Who could imagine that 2 years ago? So we have a capacity of adapting, of creating the synergies, of bringing people with the different expertise together and make it happen. It's happening here. I think it's a very, very important sign of how things have changed. We remember how Poate was before. We were in big areas with our stands, and yes, there was the one-to-one interaction. It's still very important, but this one-to-one interaction might not be there for a while and might be different. We have also to think about the new generations that are much more into technology, that are much more used already to communicate, to interact using these platforms. When you see the kids today, they are studying online, they are playing online, and we might, from our point of view, think, oh, that's sad, they don't have the same contact we used to have before, but that's their moment, that's their life, and I think that this will be there in the social life, in the business. It's a new world, it's a new world, it's a new time. So going back again to what hotels can offer, so the technology is a key factor, and I think that we are having a very good response. And I would say that here in Africa, it's fantastic how we have been proactive. When we see all these countries in other continents that are still in lockdown, they haven't had the experience that we have here. Some hotels are still totally closed, locked. They haven't started again the operation. Here, I would say that the government did a great job. We didn't like it, of course. We suffered. We were for long period. It was confinement, and the country was locked down. But I think it was the right thing. It prevented a lot. We haven't been through like we see in Europe, in India, in Brazil, America, these ups and downs. It opens. One day it opened. The curfew is at that time. The other day they changed, creating a big confusion. Here I have the feeling things have been going smoothly, and I hope it will continue. And even if the business is still not what we expect, it will come. It will come slightly. We have big hopes. We have the signature of the oil agreement between Uganda and Tanzania. We start seeing a lot of dynamics, people that want to take an opportunity in this fantastic project that is not only Ugandan, but it will benefit the whole region. And it's not only the oil and gas. There are a series of other projects related to infrastructure, roads, airports, and also we have to think about the human factor, the jobs and the opportunity of the capacitation of people. So it's an opportunity for the youth. And on a hotel scale is the same. We have been in this period investing so much our time and utilizing our resources to develop the local talents, to develop the youth. It's a unique moment that they can get prepared. And I see a lot of things happening here. I see the initiatives that UHOA, which is one of the entities I belong to. I see the initiatives with the UTB. We never talked so much about really doing things and preparing the people for the times to come. And capacitation of people, development of talents, and creating new leaderships, it's really a key factor for the success. Then I believe also that there is a lot of efforts that I see in marketing the destination within the country, regionally, and of course at an international level. So we see, which is beautiful, Ugandans or residents in Uganda rediscovering the country, and even in places, people that lived in Kampala, when they have a chance to have a break, they are spending a weekend in our hotels, and we have created a variety of packages focusing in different either is the families. We focus a lot in family. We focus in couples. So we create different experiences that might suit the needs or the desires of people, and that has been a very good experience, and it's paying back. And the more we do new things, and using also the social media platforms, which are more and more the way we are communicating what we are doing, it's also very important. Social media, of course, there is the positive and the negative, but definitely I think we have to see is the positive side of it. It covers much more people. It really creates the interest. It's stimulating for the one who is looking for different options, and that's the feeling and the response that I see coming up. I hope I covered.
Thank you, Bittencourt, for taking us through from the domestic market, and now it's plugging in right now with the challenges. We, of course, observe the challenges of certainly the decreasing one-to-one interactions that is usually very important, but we also, you've mentioned about the new generation that is appreciating a lot of technology that we need to be prepared for. So basically that, by and large, the industry is quite promising with the business engagement in oil and others, the initiatives in marketing, both domestically, internationally. You brought out that, and that is very interesting. Before I come to you, Barbara, I would want to come to my immediate friend, Alan, and coming from Serena, How do we continue to leverage on this domestic market? How has it been, and what do you think we could be able to plug in to make sure that the domestic market works for us in the interim?
Thank you. Maybe even before we go on how we plug in, what was our domestic market before pre-COVID? So I think what COVID has done for us, it has given us an opportunity to go back and look at our data. We had an opportunity to sit down, analyze what the market was giving us so that we actually got to understand the market as the industry players. So I'll just give us a bit of an overview of what our domestic market was like. The corporate organizations, the local corporate organizations, were giving us 50% of our MICE business. Government, both central and local, was giving us 28% of our MICE business in Uganda. Local NGOs, government was giving us 18%. Local NGOs were giving us 28%. SMEs, 8%. Educational institutions, 3%, and associations, 7%. Now, when you look at it, okay, of course, associations will come in with a bit of international business, so let's not even go there. If we look at what is really local, 64% of our MICE business was actually local, locally driven. What does that mean? Do we have the market? We have the market. Should we go out there and look for it? Yes, we should go out there and look for it. So the local market is available. It is just the way we were looking at it, and we had not analyzed how much we get out of this local market that we have. Now, of course, with this local market, it comes in with positioning. When you're looking at hotels, how are you positioned? And that's how you get to tap in it. And I'll give an example of Serena Hotels, because we were looking at this as Serena Hotels. Lake Victoria Serena Golf Resort and Spa, which is out of the city, actually enjoys a lot of this local MICE business. To be honest with you, for the month of March, which is this current month, we will close like at a 56%. Definitely 56. Now, that is not bad, given where we've come from. Kampala Serena Hotel, given that our business niche is international, we are being hit. So what does that tell us? We have to do a proper business mix. So coming from there, yes, there is potential with our local business as a MICE segment. However, there is a lot that we need to do. There is a lot of collaborations that should be taking place so that where we are getting these businesses from, you know, the tourism industry is more public-led, but private-driven. So with that, the collaboration has to be there, that government is pushing these meetings, and we are also lobbying to have these meetings out of government offices into hotels and MICE facilities. That said and done, has COVID had an effect? Definitely, a huge effect. The meetings are smaller, but we've also seen people come in out of a government institution and come in to meet. So meaning that we can drive on that to grow our MICE market. The resilience that our local market has picked up after COVID is amazing. Because like all my colleagues have said, and mostly JP, really the hotel industry and tourism was the most hit in this COVID period. However, the local market has kept us going. So it has shown us that we should do more marketing to our local market. We should expose them to our facilities. We should do campaigns. We should build up campaigns and packages that favor our local market, because we've learned that they are a big contributor at the day of what we take to the bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for bringing out the fact that even before COVID, the domestic mice industry was contributing over 64% of the revenues in this sector, and only about 34% was coming from the foreign international mice, meaning that actually we already have a core base of a domestic market that we can tap in. And as you mentioned rightly, right now it's about the organizations re-engineering, repositioning for this domestic market with a clear focus that actually it has been a strong market for us. Previously we thought it was mainly international, but you have seen that statistics show you that the domestic market exists, and it's time to build strategies and campaigns targeting that kind of market. Yes, we will not lose that debate. Please hold it there as I go to Ms. Barbara Adoso. Ms. Barbara Adoso, right now, Aline has given us the position of how the domestic market, JP has spoken, Peter and Peter Squared have spoken. How does Uganda position itself for this mice industry? What do you see in terms of infrastructure, in terms of what we need to do, in terms of what is it that Uganda needs to do to position itself for this great business, tourism in the mice industry? Having been in the space for some time, I'm sure you are keen to some of these challenges and the greatest opportunities that we possess. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Richard. I would like to concur with my colleagues, but before I actually talk about how Uganda can position, I think I would like to add my voice to the fact that we need to look at how COVID affected us from a global perspective. All of you have heard about mice, and I don't need to define it one more time, but just to give you a perspective of how travel and tourism, in which mice industry happens to fall, affects the global economy. Travel alone contributes to 10% of the global GDP. And you find that because of COVID, a number of economies have suffered as a result of having lost business. You find up to 95% of airline travel was lost because of COVID. For those of us who actually earn a living from mice, you realize that we could easily and quickly tell you how COVID has actually affected our businesses more than 9/11 did. All of us know how 9/11 changed the world and the manner in which we looked at security, the perspective. Now security is more than simply just physical security. It's also about health security, it's about safety. So mice has suffered a lot because of COVID, and that is something that we cannot ignore. As Uganda, it has affected us as well. If you notice, World Tourism and Trade Council, if some of you who are reading statistics, has actually indicated a loss of 3 trillion that was suffered by travel and tourism just in 2020 alone. And out of that, they found about 100 million jobs were lost because COVID affected travel and tourism industry, which obviously mice is one of them. If you look at the way we all reacted, globally, everybody was first of all ignoring COVID in 2019. Nobody seemed to think it was a serious thing. Everybody thought it is the China disease. Why? Because the president of the USA was calling it the China disease. So everybody was actually looking at it as a China problem. But around about the 31st of January 2020, That's when now the global stage was set for MICE. And at that time, the United States as well decided to close their borders to all non-essential travel from China, and then they closed their borders with Canada and with the Mexico. Then everybody woke up to the fact that, oh my goodness, actually this thing is really very serious. In Uganda, I think we really saw our lockdown come around about March, and that affected us most of March, April, May, but I appreciate what our government did, because the leadership that our government showed at the time is one of the things that will actually cause us to recover quicker and better. Because now, as you realize, most of the people who will travel will choose safety as one of the reasons as to why they'll choose a destination. And the destinations that have proven themselves to react quickly, to manage COVID better, will be quickly chosen as a preferred destination in comparison to what the preferences were in 2019, for example. So we look at things like infrastructure. We look at things like safety. How are we reacting to COVID? We look at things like what kind of memberships are we having? Because part of the positioning and adaptation will certainly focus around issues on infrastructure. When I talk about infrastructure, I'm not just simply talking about the large, big hotels. Those are very relevant. They're very key because they're important. We certainly need to have convention centers. And for those who can invest in convention centers in Uganda, we need convention centers. We need very good big hotels. We need hotel chains and brands to come into this country, because a lot of these pull people. So you find hotels like Sheraton will be busy compared to maybe another smaller hotel. Hotels like Serena, because they have built a brand. So we need brands certainly to come into this country. One of the things that we need as part of our infrastructure development. But when I talk about MICE infrastructure, what I really mean is we need to develop our human resources. We need to develop our PCOs. Who is a PCO? That is a professional conference organizer. We need to develop our DMCs. Who is a DMC? That is a destination management company. We certainly need to develop all the different logistical aspects that support a MICE event. And when we look at logistics, there's a whole variety of different organizations and support companies that help. And now we've talked about technology. Technology is going to be one of the key factors that we will have to use and to harness to go forward in our positioning of Uganda as a MICE destination. As Peter clearly mentioned, now we are able to actually get speakers from out of Uganda that would have been possibly very difficult, very expensive, very time-consuming, and probably very hard to even get someone to spare time to come to Uganda, even if you were paying them a lot of money. But now all they need to do is to prepare themselves, sit behind their desk, in front of their camera, and they'll be able to speak to us. But do not get me wrong, as much as we are doing virtual meetings and hybrid meetings, they still need for preparation, just like you do a normal face-to-face meeting. They still need to invite speakers. They still need to organize and coordinate a lot of the logistics around having this event happen or this meeting happen. So infrastructure development in terms of the physical infrastructure, in terms of the human resources, is very important for Uganda as we position ourselves. We also need to remember memberships. Association memberships are key. We're looking at associations in MICE, things like ICA. We're looking at things like SITE. We're looking at things like MPI. Those are very key associations, because it is through those that we get connections, that we get networks, that we get trained, that we get updated on what is happening in the MICE industry. Obviously, we need to constantly and continually be mindful of how we are handling the safety of the tourists when they come. We have adopted a term in Uganda called SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures. So how are we showcasing those to the world to show that when they come to Uganda, they are safe, they are secure. When they come to Uganda, they will be taken care of. Their health is key and paramount to us as a sector, so that if they are here for a meeting or for a business event, or whatever it is that they've come here for, MICE or travel related, they will be safe, they can go back safely without having a problem. How are we handling the logistics around COVID testing? How are we handling, and what is the turnaround time? And I think Uganda has done very well, because we have been able to turn around tests within hours of somebody taking the test, and that has been very helpful. The airport has organized itself, and we are very comfortably able to host any MICE event. And Powate, I'm glad is happening as it is now, virtually, because it's giving us a chance to showcase what Uganda can offer. It's giving us a chance to showcase Uganda's capabilities, and therefore we need to build on this and actually continue to position ourselves beyond simply Powate, all the different meetings that we have had with the different people that have been invited to attend Poate, and all the different meetings should be a chance for us to show that Uganda is in a position that it can showcase. Because already we have a very beautiful product as a destination. And we have the hotels. We are capable of hosting. I think Uganda was number 6 in 2019 as a MICE destination. And that's, remember, before we had even registered for ICA. And because we had not registered for ICA, they had not recorded some of the meetings that were happening before. Now imagine if we actually continue to work in the same way. Okay, COVID has disrupted us. That's something that we need to do, but we're talking about positioning. We can easily become number 1 or number 2 in Africa, because we are a very, very hospitable people, and that is a very important thing. Also, appeal. The destination has to have appeal, and I think Uganda already has that appeal. We are hospitable, we are a very green destination, we are a very beautiful destination, we have the sun, we have the equator, we have all the wildlife that anyone could dream about, and therefore Uganda has so much that we can offer the world, and certainly our appeal is something that we should also ride upon as we reposition ourselves as a destination. But we also need to look at scenarios like relevance. As a PCO, as a DMC, as you position yourself, you've got to show yourself to be relevant. You've got to show yourself as a partner to the MICE or the corporate event buyer that wants to buy your corporate events. It is time for us to show that we are more than simply just an organizer of an event. It's time for us to show that we are a partner. It's time for us to show that we help organizations, companies, corporates obtain the objectives as to why they have actually put their event into place, why they have put in place an incentive, why they have put in place a meeting. We need to be able to do more than simply just organize an event. We need to be able to ensure that our client's success and relevance is at the forefront of everything that we do, even as we position ourselves. So that gives us a chance right now to improve ourselves. It gives us a chance to retrain our staff where we need to train our staff. It gives us a chance to renovate where we need to renovate. It gives us a chance to improve and polish and beat up every other dusty area and dusty corner that needs to be beaten up, so that by the time we are fully operational with MICE, everybody's ready to go. Finally, MICE cannot just be done by the private sector. Alan mentioned how the private sector drives MICE, even though government leads it. There needs to be clear, proper collaboration between government and the private sector. There needs to be clear, proper, seamless collaboration. Because I'll give you an example. We've sadly lost a very lucrative association conference that we bid for, that Uganda bid for the very first time, that we bid for that association conference. And we did everything with the private sector partners. This was purely private sector led and supported by the Ministry of Tourism and supported by the Uganda Convention Bureau. Then we hand this conference to our partner, the city, and they actually lost it. So we need to have very clear collaboration. It is very important to have very, very clear collaboration so that we can all progressively make this destination the right destination that anybody that is thinking about MICE should think about when they finally choose to get out of their homes to come for MICE. Because at the moment, a number of them are looking at close destinations, close to home. People are not looking to travel very far. But how are we going to get Uganda into their minds so that they can actually come and travel 8 hours to come? We have a very new airline that has opened with very modern aircraft. How are we going to fill those aircraft? MICE is going to be the key. We have all these hotels that need to be occupied. How are we going to fill them? MICE is the key. We have all these lodges that have a lot of capacity. How are we going to fill them? MICE is the key. We all know that before somebody can invest in any destination, they need to first come in as a tourist. And most times they'll probably first come in as a business tourist for a business meeting. Then they maybe come back as a leisure tourist. And before you know it, they'll come back as an investor. So this is a sector that is very crucial for the growth and the redevelopment, reboot, and the reconnection that Uganda needs back into the tourism space globally.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara Adoso, for actually putting it very clearly on how the sector players along the value chains need to do, how we are prepared, how ready our industry in terms of beauty is, and what we need to do. Thank you so much as an industry. We have one of our panelists who is online, Ms. Tace Prose, the president of SITE, who made the first starting presentation. Tace, right now, as you've heard our presenters discussing, positioning Uganda, the challenges that are supposed to be handled, how good we are, and somehow Peter and Barbara have emphasized the key issue of collaboration. How can we, South Africa, how can you help us? How can we work together to collaborate to make Uganda MICE or Uganda as a destination for MICE work? Thank you very much. Tace, can I have you make a comment on that?
So key and so relevant. In terms of, call it putting Uganda on the map, I think collaboration is the one very important word that's come out. And I must say it's been heartwarming this past year to see how former competitors have collaborated in, strengthening the industry and strengthening, our environment. I think the collaboration is key to make Uganda work. As I mentioned in my talk, I think Uganda is already on people's radars. Very encouraging to hear about the infrastructure development. That is absolutely key. And what our colleague Barbara mentioned, absolutely critical is your human resources development. We need to look at developing skills. From a site perspective, I am busy rolling out programs, doing masterclass on incentive program development, not just from on-site development, but understanding from the corporate perspective how to ask the right questions to make sure that you understand what your client's end objectives are. Because as I said, it's like same thing with Africa. You cannot copy and paste something that will work in South Africa and go and plant that in Uganda. It's not going to work. You need to look at your destination. What makes your destination unique and sell that? So all of us have heard of the USP, the unique selling point. Think of something that your destination can offer that nobody else has got and build your story around
that. Thank you, Tace, for re-emphasizing that. I am sure we have our market, our demo, the Destination Marketing Organization in Uganda that has organized POATE, UTB. What is that unique selling preposition that we are making out there? Our members have made it very, very, very clear as Uganda is one of the unique countries in this region, actually in the world. And how do we position that to make us strong for MICE as a destination? As I go back to Peter, the questions now are going to be quite open. You're free to, but Peter, we picked up from a point of where you were supposed to see how do we, the new technologies, how do these people, for example, in an event like this one, how do they make money? How we're saying they should adopt technologies. In these technologies that are adopted, how can a PCO be able to price and make money? Or we are saying that PCOs sooner or later, because of technology, are going to be wiped out. How do we position ourselves as a PCO and make money out of these new dynamics that have come as a result of COVID? Yes, Peter Kagwa.
Thank you very much, Richard. That opens up a very interesting perspective that we've been discussing as UAKI. And today I sit here representing the Uganda Association for the Conferencing and Incentives Industry. First and foremost, I think our partners, or supposed to be partners, which is the private sector, needs to understand MICE. A lot of it has been driven by private sector. We're beginning to get acceptance, and that's why I guess we're here, and I thank the organizers for giving us a platform to be here, but we need to understand MICE as a country and the great potential that MICE has. It's not about Peter doing a small event and making some money, either from the gate or from 3 delegates coming through. If we see the wider picture for the economy, and the Ministry of Finance and the revenue authorities begin to work together with us to pull in these resources, I think then everybody will get, because you've got an inner ring, an outer ring, and then the peripheral supporters. So, for instance, if you had, if you've got a big event, say 600 delegates coming through, we need to understand how that conference reaches out to someone that sells, say, matoke. That someone within the agriculture sector is able to supply. Then you've got drivers that have jobs, you've got cars that are fueled up, then you've got ushers working at a conference, then you've got equipment suppliers, you've got screens and PA, you've got Ndere Troop doing performances. So there's quite a bit of revenue within that circle, and if we focus, harness, and support them, it's able to grow and give us back. I mean, you hear figures of a delegate spending close between $400 to $700, depending on where they go. That's a single delegate to a conference. I think our focus has been too much on the leisure tourism, but it's time to think of MICE and what MICE can bring in. If you bring in 4 events in a month, do the numbers and see. So there's quite a bit of revenue to be tapped in. But going back to your COVID experience that you're speaking about, you've got young people that have got their own online channels, and they're making some money. We're moving away from traditional TV that we used to follow. You've got people that can now have a whole following of people following them to show them what's happening. You've got to understand the market that we live in here. We've got young people, and I think Barbara said, and Tess as well, you need to know your competitive advantage. You've got young people. What experience do you have that will not be in Brazil? What experience do you have that will not be duplicated in Dubai? Or do you want to compete with Dubai in all the glitz and glamour that they present? Maybe not. So first and foremost, you need to know what you have, position yourself right, be deliberate about it, and then the revenues will cut across. I mean, as I said, people are doing online streaming. You've got, you've got a bigger opportunity. Today, if we had Akon come to Uganda to do a show for the young people, we'll be struggling at Lugogo Cricket Oval, and you'll have JP not interested to attend. Now, you've got an opportunity to have JP and his few buddies have a VIP experience. It doesn't have to be filled like it used to be before, but you could easily get 1 million people coming online and paying a small amount of money that compounds into a bigger figure that then the revenue authority can have a bit, your organizers could have a bit, your people who are streaming and all that would have a bit. So it's time to change. The money is there. It is just the mentality and us holding hands. They say a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So a lot is being done. We're building very nice hotels. We're doing all, and then if we leave one link out, then our visitor experience might be a bad one, and then we're not able to finish, the whole mile. So I think revenues are there. In the short run, we're not seeing where they are, but the more creative we are, the more deliberate we are going to get that revenue back.
Thank you very much, Peter Kagwa, for actually echoing the hope that actually, even with the disruption of the digital technologies, there are avenues for people to make money. Because why I'm insisting on money, it is that money that will actually help the economy to grow. So when people make money, the taxman has money, we can build roads, we can improve our infrastructure. So basically, thank you, Peter, for painting that very good picture that even in these disruptions, there are very many good avenues to make money. Yes, Peter Kagwa, we have come, we are virtual now. What are the challenges? How can should we continue with this kind of virtual expos, virtual experiences? This is Mwanja Peter. What do you have to say? And what is it that is unique that we should be keeping in the face of our next customer out there, especially when we have such events?
Thank you. First of all, I need to reiterate that Poate comes to help us recover, reboot, and reconnect. But then again, as the players, both private and government, we need to bounce back better. What do I want to say? Right now, I'll tell you, I miss the air conditioning. We used to book hotels knowing if I go to the Sheraton, the hall is going to be chilled and very nice. I miss it. But what do we pick out from this? We pick out things like we have to be more careful who we invite and where we take the people. That's giving us the challenge. And where that comes in is that today you'll find that a lot of us investors have learned that tourism or MICE is not the only way to survive. So we're going into other sectors. Others are going into agriculture, but linking agriculture into MICE. Because you know that we have working farm groups. You go to your farm, put a cottage, and do MICE there, do tourism there. So we're adjusting into a lot of avenues where we can make money and keep the tourism coming. I also want to add that before 2020, we had a lot of bookings coming, especially for MICE, the business groups. Many of them have postponed. But still, because of activities and events like Poate, we have bookings that are coming. Some of them are really inquiring, but they're not ready to commit. They will commit. We can see 2022 and 2023 having a big influx of travelers, business travelers especially, wanting to visit Uganda. How do we make sure that we bounce back better? How do we ensure and assure them that we've got the space? You want to look at a place like Makison. We got a group of Israelites in 2018. They were, I think, 400, and they each needed their own room. We couldn't raise those rooms. Now it's a time for us to rethink and make sure that when tourism finally opens, we have space and we can achieve. But now that we have hybrid is probably the next thing, and I think that next year probably we'll have a hybrid event. But that's only giving us hope. It's only giving us the hope that things will get better. What we have to plan out today is how do we get out of this stronger with all the connections that we're getting out of Poate, with all the investment opportunities that we are opening up to the world, because now we have, like Barbara said rightly, Uganda Airlines has opened up. We'll be flying into London this year probably. That is an infrastructure that's going to help and make life easier for our travelers. We have to be ready for that. But we also have to tell everyone the truth, that these facilities are available and Uganda is ready. So we're having to play a match and mix kind of game. And that's where we're going. So hybrid is going to bridge the gap in the interim, but in the long run, we've got a lot to think about.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. We are running, Peter Mwanja, we are running down on time, and we are going to be, we have a few minutes left. That is what I was told. But we are going to have each one of you say at least something before we take away the stage. In terms of Bittencourt, in terms of readiness, in terms of, as you spoke really very well, what is this, that unique selling point that you think Uganda should position so that we are able to attract as many numbers as possible? What is that unique thing that you, especially you who is greatly you are now a national and a visitor, both, what is it that you think we should position as a destination? Bittencourt.
Thank you. We have to position and put up front the uniqueness of experience that we can provide in Uganda. And there are so many unique things that make us different from other parts of the world and also regionally. And these are the things that we have to put up front. And when I hear my colleagues talking about agriculture, about all different areas that can bring value to that experience. I think that there is a need of putting that up front, creating programs, and this has to do with sustainability. If we have an event coming to Uganda, it's showing how we do agriculture in Uganda, how we plant coffee, how we plant the matoke, how we, and I think there is a big opportunity also for us is in the food production, in the cuisine we have here, in everything that is related, that is cultural and unique here. Even after 5 years living in Uganda, I'm still discovering things that I say, wow, how you guys have never thought about putting that more up front. So there are things that you only find here, and I think that's an opportunity to think about how to package it, how to bring it a little bit more visible and at glance of the visitors that we'll have. But how that can work, it has a very important component, is of course the synergies between the tourism area with different industries. But again, I go back to the point is about educating people. We need to have people that are educated in the Ugandans are fantastic, they have a wonderful way of welcoming, but there is a need of creating people with better preparation to welcome this tourism, to have the information with them, to be able to talk, to be able to sell, to be able to marketeer all that we have here. And so this is the moment, is a great opportunity, is to focus on that. And that will be key for all the different sectors.
Thank you, Bittencourt. Thank you. The unique selling points, those very unique things that Uganda can be able to position itself, well said. The cuisines, the agriculture that we have, things that are actually people do not think about, very away from what we have been looking at as wildlife. That compound makes Uganda a very unique destination in terms of attracting the mice. Barbara, we have some question from the online. It says, outside the major cities that we have, where else can we hold large groups, especially near attractions? Do the attractions provide space where we can be able to hold big events? That comes from Fanny Martinez on, is it called WOVA? It's on the platform, online. Yes, Barbara, but you can also, on that question, as you answer that question, add that one or two things that you think should not be left behind during this discussion.
Thank you. In terms of holding large events outside of the main cities of Kampala, Entebbe, and probably Jinja, we have cities like, recently we've had new cities that have been brought up. Perhaps we're looking at the capacity of the meeting rooms in those places that probably will be limited. But if we're looking at hosting an event, there has to be a level of creativity. Events don't necessarily have to always be inside a brick and mortar. They can be hosted out in the open. I have seen people host events in a forest, and it's just a matter of what is the theme of the person? What do they want to bring out when they host this event? Because you can actually host this event as an outdoor event. We have very good weather, so as one of the unique selling points that Uganda has, we have very good weather being on the equator and at a high altitude. We have almost all year round summer-like conditions, so we can easily host outdoor events. We can really convert some really beautiful tents into some really amazing meeting rooms. We've seen that happen in Serena, we've seen it in Sheraton, we've seen it in Munyonyo, a very beautiful tent that has been converted into a real meeting hall, a real conference hall that can actually host anybody. So I think we have a lot of open spaces in Uganda, and looking at the requirement now to be as much as possible in open spaces, I would like to encourage anybody that is looking to host an event in an open space to really, really consider Uganda, because we can actually do those events. They don't have to be under brick and mortar.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara, for those comments. Yes, Fanny Martinez, you have your confirmation that actually there's a lot of space. It doesn't need to be brick and mortar. We can be able to be creative around the spaces within this, outside the cities and in near the attractions. and create events. It's all about how creative we can be. Yes, Alan, what is it that you cannot leave behind in this audience that you would want to make sure that every listener out there really gets about mice in Uganda, and also Serena that you have to offer to these people in terms of mice, in terms of a conference host, and in terms of the good things that you've spoken about? What is it that you can offer us? What is it that you'd want the Ugandans and the international community out there to know?
Thank you. Maybe I'll close in just on the competitive edge, like my colleagues, and I'll look at the software part of it. That's how I'll call it. And I'll pick it from us learning to our customer behavior management, like what Barbara was saying. If we have to reboot ourselves as we are here, as mice organizers, as mice hosts, so that we gain and pick that competitive edge and advantage. I'll not forget to talk about our climate. Like Barbara said again, just look at it. Some countries out there would not be able to host a meeting without AC when it's summer. That is out. But Uganda, we would do that, you know, very comfortably, and everybody would enjoy that. So we'd have to build innovation. We cannot forget doing that. Our service quality is another thing that will make us competitive and better. Being adaptive and growing our strong organizational skills. So we need to grow our organizational culture, that if we are organizing a meeting, it is the talk of that meeting that will sell Uganda. There is nothing that can sell you like word of mouth. So whenever we hold a meeting, we should ensure that anybody going out of Uganda is singing Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. To everybody, every Ugandan, Alan says you are the marketeer of this destination. So any word that you say out there, any word that our visitor says out there is actually very important in marketing our destination. And as she has surely said it, that please, she has had very good marketing, word of mouth for Serena. So let's carry it forward as Ugandans. One of our cardinal roles is to market our destination. Nobody markets us better than ourselves. I'm going to call one of our presenters online for her last comment before I come back to everybody for 30 seconds to sum up. Tess be able to have a group photograph as the mice panel. Thank you very much. Tess, can you please come through and make that offer?
Thank you so much. Indeed, I'm so glad that Barbara touched on the importance of membership and associations earlier, and I'm very pleased to advise that our executive director has agreed to a one-off offer for everybody who's attending this event, which is a waiving of our joining fees and a special membership of $200 for African developing members for site membership. Now that automatically qualifies you for our online training, which is free for members at the moment. So if our organizers could possibly share my contact details in the chat room, and for everybody, you can contact me via the online portal as well. So it'll be great to see some membership from Uganda. And I know Peter is a member, and hope to help you develop your DMC businesses and your incentive travel. Thank you.
Thank you, Tess, for the offer. The people online and those who are being able to follow this event have ably had this discount, $200 for you to become a member of site, and it offers you the opportunity of being trained free of charge so that you can be true schooled in the areas of organizing or managing mice. Thank you very much, Tace, for that offer. I go back to the panel. This time, everybody has a few seconds to sum up and make his closing remarks. Thank you. This time, I will go from my immediate right. Then I will close with Peter Kagwa. Yes, Alan, your closing remarks.
All right. I would like to thank UTB for organizing Poet and putting Uganda back on the map after, missing out in 2020. And I would like to say something small about Serena so that the world knows who Serena is. So Serena Hotels has established itself as one of the world's leading brands in the hospitality industry by offering quality accommodation, conference solutions, unique tourism, unique tourism and sports, and the culture, growing tourism, in the region and out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for positioning Serena Hotel. I'm sure everybody enjoys the golf course at Serena Hotel, the beauty of that place. And what you've forgotten is you're not giving them a very good discount like the Thai people. We could be having a nice discount for this domestic market, and the people attending this conference, so that you simply present that I was now attending number this and this, and I'm entitled to this discount. But maybe that is the next time. Thank you very much. Barbara, you can give us your closing.
To showcase what Uganda has to offer as a MICE destination. I also want to thank SITE for the offer that you've given, and Tess for information. I am a site member, I'm a CIS, and at the moment I'm actually having my staff, about 5 staff, are being trained as CIS online as it is at the moment, because I completely believe in what I said. We need to improve our infrastructure, and our human resource is one of the things we need to do. Back to ourselves as Uganda, certainly as we move on, we need to adapt as a destination. And I've seen that in hotels, they've all adapted, improved their infrastructure to ensure that they are providing a safe environment for everybody. Tour operators have adapted their vehicles and their service operations to ensure that the tourists they're carrying are safe. Event organizers have also adapted to make sure that the events they coordinate are safe. So Uganda is a destination that is working very hard to make sure that everybody that comes is safe and they go back home safe. So we want to invite everybody that has been thinking about Uganda or sitting on the wall about coming to Uganda. We are ready to receive you, and we are happy to receive you. We are very hospitable people. It's a beautiful destination, and when you come, watch out for the Uganda bag, because you will come back.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Everybody online out there, please contact Astronaut Safaris, contact MICE Uganda. They offer very good packages, and Uganda is actually ready for you. Thank you very much, Bob P. Always ready for support. If you're in this industry, there's one name you can never miss, JP Bittencourt. Thank you very much. What is your parting shot this evening?
Thank you very much, Richard. I would like to appreciate, of course, UTB and all the entities related to tourism for organizing this fantastic event. We still have the rest of the day and tomorrow to go through. The subjects have been extremely interesting, and I really I will recommend that everybody that has the opportunity to follow and probably to see whatever has been missed in the previous day. The content, the quality of the speakers and the subjects were really extremely interesting. So a few words about, so we are part of Marriott Group, and Marriott Group has come very strongly with what we call the Welcome Back campaign, and the motto is we are here to stay. And we have put a lot of focus in our loyalty program, Marriott Bonvoy. which is one of the most successful loyalty programs worldwide in the hospitality. Marriott offers almost 30 different brands, more than 5,000 hotels all over the world, and Sheraton is one of the most important brands. And we have as the aim of the Sheraton brand is that here is the place where the world meets, where the people meet and where the people exchange. It's really about community. It's really about exchanging experiences. So that's the focus we're putting on. This focus again is on technology, in creating the platforms that are needed to find what we are offering, but also in the interactivity with our clients. We are going much more now into what we call the mobility. Guests can check in, check out on their mobiles once they have the application on their phones. Guests can choose a menu, whatever they want to eat, just looking into application, and they find the menus there. There is what we call mobile chat. At any time, a guest, he doesn't need anymore to pick up a phone. He just get in contact with our associates and ask for whatever he wants in his room or in any place of the hotel. And even the key, that's a new and very important technology. It will come very soon. Is what we call mobile key. The telephone we won't have anymore any keys or cards to access the room. So that's it's one of very important components. So technology is very important for us. Of course, the safety. We have been I would say one of the pioneers to implement our SOPs, and of course implementing at the same time not only our company SOPs, but the SOPs from the Ministry of Health that are following the World Health Organization, and I think that we have done a great job on that. And of course at the end it's about again the experience, how we connect, how we interact with our guests. Even if we have all this technology, still the human factor, the human approach, the one-to-one, it's still very important, and that any guest coming here for any purpose, they really feel appreciated, that we try to customize the service, and I think that's very important, not only for us but for the industry. One very important initiative that I've seen coming up, and I would like again to appreciate UTB, it's the launch of the new hotel classification that happened officially last week here in Kampala, and I think that's a very important factor of success because it's putting the bar quite high for everyone. There is a need of investments, but there is again need of training, a need of creating awareness, but that will help to create a very good image for the destination, that the hospitality, it's at the level of any other countries which are in Eastern Africa or any other part of the world. So that is a very, very important initiatives, and the surveys or the inspection of properties will start very soon. So we have all to get prepared, all the industry, to be engaged, committed, and doing the necessary to comply and be ready for the inspection and get the grading that we are aiming for. Having said that, again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm very pleased to have participated of this panel, and thank you for all my colleagues here.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Bittencourt. You've also not given us a discounted offer. Probably would want to stay for a few coming days, Labor Day and others, but we'll get that next time. That we'll be able to the participants out there to be able to come and spend the night at Sheraton. I will come to Peter Mwanja this time. Peter, thank you so much. You're going to give us your parting shots Barbara talked about creativity outside city for events. I want you to, just make that very strong. Someone asked me, why don't we have Nyege Nyege in Ginger? Why don't we have a very good event around the Crater Lakes in that area? Because it's a very, very nice place. I want you to make that a bit stronger in terms of how we can actually do more events and drive numbers into some of our properties and also make some money. And given the fact that Ugandans love actually events, they love entertainment, they love most of these things. Yes, Peter, what would be your last parting shots, but also make that bit a bit strong? Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you. Richard, I'm having an amazing time at Poate, which is why I want to say thank you to UTB and our organizing committee. I've had at least 30 appointments on the Hover app, an event that's going to even be taking place in Kenya, who's on the platform that there's a lot of opportunities that we shall catch. Thank you again, UTB, for organizing that. Coming into the events, Uganda probably hosts one of the biggest social events in East Africa, which we all know about, the Nyege Nyege. And it happens in Jinja. When it's in Jinja, all the hotels are full, all the campsites are full, people even sleep in their cars. But it's been pulled off over 4 years now. We've got a big chance to do many others. We've got a lot of islands where we can go. The Sese Islands, I was told the other day, there's over 70 of them. And all of those are very, very nice places that we can go and pull off events. It's one of the opportunities that Uganda has to present. And that's also a very good business opportunity for any investors out here, both local and foreign. Uganda should be looked at now as a destination that we can all come to. People who come to Uganda don't want to leave. So it's one number that I should give to everybody. That when you come to Uganda, like Barbara said, the safari bag is worst of all. So yeah, everybody that's coming into Poate, make sure you come and visit. Poate is going to be an annual event. Maybe we shall replicate at the end of it one of the Nyege Nyege kind of events, so that we can show the world that we are better and bigger.
Thank you, thank you.
But as we go, Uganda now has a fully fledged convention bureau that sits at the UTB. And under that, we have a private sector organization, UAKI, which my brother Peter here chairs, the Uganda Association of Conference and Incentive Industry. That association is what everybody in Uganda that wants to do an event, that wants to hold a conference, that wants to manage one, that's the association that everybody should come to. We have also extended a hand to all those intending members or those who want to join, that this year we don't have the annual subscription fee. So you've got the chance to come and just register and get accredited, and we bounce back better. We reboot tourism, we reboot business tourism. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Peter has actually made a call to all of you who want to be PCOs, DMCs, event hosts, to come and register and be part of the professional group that is looking out for management and organization of events in Uganda, UAKI. Thank you very much, Peter, for that call, and ably also recognizing the role of UTB in making this happen. And I would also want to say that Peter has been the chairperson of Poate. So Peter, thank you very much. I think now, right there, people, you're very happy that this event has taken off. We had so many questions. Can a virtual event be? But we are finally there. Peter, thank you very much for your effort. I go to Peter Omsaja wa Kabaka for his parting shots. Peter, Kagwa, I have known him. First of all, he's a Bodonian, and I'm going to say that, and I'm one too. Peter has been in this space for some time. He doesn't know, but we met some time back when there was around Chogam time, when we had something to discuss about events, when we had an expert from South Africa called Turu, you remember? So we met, and you've been a very heavy advocate for this industry to take shape, to be standardized, so that actually the players in there can be able to respect what we call professional standards. So Peter, with your parting shots, do you see some light at the end of the tunnel? And which words do you have for our listeners out there? Your last words for this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. First and foremost, I'll join my fellow panelists in thanking Uganda Tourism Board for the perseverance and the resilience being able to deliver Powate this year, given all the circumstances. So I truly thank them for giving us a platform. But as my colleague Peter says, we are very grateful as UAKI for UTB again, for nurturing us, guiding us. You know, we had Rick who came through to guide us, Rick from South Africa, to guide all the companies that supply and support the MICE industry. That's the hotels, the PCOs, the DMCs. I must tell you that we've got very few professionally qualified members, but we're all very keen to grow and very keen to learn. So we thank Tess for the offer. But as an association, I can assure UTB as well as Ugandans and all our friends abroad online that we are ready to reboot. We're ready to come on board because we've got good players who've got minimum standards to deliver, and we know what it takes to supply and work within the MICE space for, and being competitive internationally. So we are ready, and we'd like members to register with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. As we close off today's MICE panel discussion, I want to appreciate all of you, the panelists, for your time, for being able to share freely your knowledge. We have not paid you to be here, but we have freely shared your knowledge. I am sure we have added a brick on the how we are going to shape the MICE industry in Uganda, how someone out there now is able to understand Uganda as a MICE destination, how somebody can make business from this MICE, and how we are going to recover from these challenges. So thank you so much. That knowledge is not something we can pay for. We appreciate your efforts. Our viewers online or our listeners online, thank you very much for the questions that came through. We are going to keep this conversation open for the next 6 months. The portal is going to be open. You can send in your questions. You can send in your comments. You can be able to say anything. The portal is going to be open for some time, and the panelists and the other members will be there to guide you or to answer your questions. We thank you very much for being online with us, being patient with us. And yes, there we see Powate 2021, the first virtual expo in East Africa, has delivered. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Poate 2021. My name is Stephen Sani Masaba. I'm the Director for Tourism and Business Development at Uganda Wildlife Authority, the body that is responsible for managing and protecting the wildlife resources in this country, so that you visitors who are coming to Uganda or wanting to come can enjoy a true nature in this beautiful country part of Africa. I'm here to share with you some information and welcome you in a special way to our protected areas. I hope your stay here in Uganda and this exhibition online will truly be rewarding, and if you are not here yet, you haven't been here yet, I hope you will make a decision to physically come when the situation improves. This situation provides a unique opportunity for us to interact online, and we are very, very pleased that despite all the issues and challenges we've gone through, we're happy to meet here once again online and welcome you to our country. Please feel at home and welcome to Uganda, welcome to Poate 2021. As you may know, Uganda Wildlife Authority is the body that manages and protects the wildlife resources in this country, and much of the visitors that come, apart from some that want to go and see other areas, culture, faith, and the city and so on. Many of the visitors that come here want to go and see nature. So we're very happy to share with you the various aspects of the nature that we provide, and some of you that have been able to visit Uganda physically and gone around have seen how truly Uganda is truly endowed. It's a very beautiful country with a varied tourism product. You have mountain products, you have water bodies and marine products, you have birding, you have nature, you have landscapes. Truly talk about everything, including the city life that we always are proud to offer to visitors that come. For this theme, recover, reboot, and reconnect, we want to take an opportunity to share with you the experience that we have gone through as Ugandans and as the custodians of the tourism product, that we have, I think, overall been successful in going through what you would have called a difficult time. Many of you may recall when tourism activities stopped in this country and most of our parks were actually closed. We had no visitors at all. Over time, we have prepared and improved our circumstances to enable visitors to travel safely and be able to reach and view the tourism product that they have left for almost a year right now. As a country, immediately tourism was closed. We started off by preparing to put back infrastructure and prepare products in hope of recovery. So you find a lot of activities were done behind the scenes to ensure that the tourism facilities and services that take you to see the products were actually put in place. We also made sure that in line with the country's policy of preparing the nation against COVID, we immediately adapted and followed standard operating procedures. These were really, really necessary because we work into a sensitive environment, sensitive because we receive foreign visitors, but also we have staff and we also have wildlife that could easily get affected by any lapses in the safety system. So we started by managing and controlling access to the tourism activities. We managed and have proposed a minimum number of people that can access our product on a daily basis. For many of you that know the gorilla product, the mountain gorilla tourism, we still maintain the number of 8. But when you're going to tour the mountain product, we want you to maintain a minimum distance. And this distance has now increased from 7 to 10 meters. We also ensure when people are climbing or going up the mountains, we ensure distance between them. You may say it might be difficult to keep a distance within the people who are climbing the hill, but this one you reasonably do because then you cannot walk close to each other. So that distance is actually easy to determine, and we emphasize that. Of course, the basic things which you know, things like using a mask. You see we have a mask here. We do use masks up to now. Right from the field, you can see into the offices. We do have masks that we have, different types that we have kind of approved for the various products. And we're very happy we want to thank the visitors that have come to our national parks, and many of them have adhered to ensuring that they wear masks and they follow the standard operating procedures. For some of you that have actually had the physical check of our parks, we even manage the seating capacities of cars. When people come to our parks, we want to ensure that they have traveled safely, and when they reach at the gates, they wash their hands, they wear their mask, and they can go within the minimum numbers that we have actually provided. We're grateful to the team that bring these visitors, many of the tour operators, and even many of you that have gone to come have been very cooperative. That's why, if you look at the record of Uganda, we have been rated as one of those countries, the first and most important countries that have managed to control this pandemic. This is because the people have been responsive to the standards and practices in place, and we're happy for that. This pandemic, obviously, as I've said, caused a lot of impact on our business. First, as a conservation body, it meant that some of the resources we had that come from tourism for protecting the parks were not as much. But we have managed by and large to ensure that most of the key activities for maintaining a good conservation system have been provided. That's why when you look around the country, and when you look at the animal health, and you look at the systems that we have, these have been really been well protected, and you continue to boast of a nature and environment that you cannot find anywhere else. Thanks to you, our visitors, thanks to you, the potential visitors that are planning to come to the country to see the destination and the true natural environment in the part of Africa. We have worked with tour operators because the effect of this situation has not only affected Uganda Wildlife Authority, but also it has affected our tour operators and partners across the globe. We did plan and reschedule their travels for almost a period of 2 years. This was to enable them to plan and still bring visitors without necessarily cancelling their visits to Uganda. I'm sure some of them, even during COVID, actually asked us whether they could come, but we had to explain that, because of travel restrictions and the need for some of those mandatory COVID tests, they wouldn't come. But when the countries opened and the tests have now become a requirement for many of the visitors, we have seen people come. So tour operators who have been affected, we helped to ensure that they reschedule their permits, and we have also been able during this period to offer some promotional discounts so that the product is accessible. The travelers themselves do not have enough resources, even the tour agents too, so we have made promotional discounts, and these are still running. So if you're still here in Uganda or you're out of the country and wish to come to this country, please come and visit the national parks. We have promotional rates over up to 50% for visiting the Savannah National Park. So you can come and pay 50% of what you used to pay until up to end of June. You still have time to plan and come to this country. We have also offered investors in the national parks who offer accommodation some rebates for the period that COVID has been around and they did not make enough money. We offered them some relief so they don't have to pay us the annual round fees. Now this, I think, has gone on well with those people doing business with us because they see we empathize with them, and right now we see hope and we see recovery, and we can tell you that visitors have started coming. We see bookings, increased bookings for gorilla tourism. We see increased bookings for chimpanzees, and many of the other savanna parks, our boats are starting to pick up. Many of the boats that take you on boat cruises are also seeing a resurgence and recovery, and we're very happy to continue offering the product that people are aware about. Going forward, I think that we should not relent as a country, because we have seen even in the other countries the COVID pandemic is still an issue and still affecting travel. I want to request all partners and travelers alike to continue protecting themselves, continue to adhere to the standard operating procedures for ensuring that we do not continue to get affected and spread COVID-19. We are working with agents, bloggers, and writers as a means of spreading the good news about Uganda tourism product. We have offered a number of opportunities for people to come and record videos and write about Uganda. And some of these stories are already being shown in international media. We're going to work with musicians. If you have a talent out there, you can write, you can blog, where you're welcome to talk to us at Uganda Wildlife Authority, and we'll be in touch with you and be happy to facilitate you to come and write about us. We continue to invest heavily in the conservation of Uganda's tourism products. For example, our mountain products, which did not see many people during COVID, are now starting to see some people coming to go mountaineering. This means the investors and ourselves are putting more money into accommodation, safety of the climb to the mountains, and we have seen some people that have come out with very positive feedback. We are training our people, and many of them are now ready to receive a big boost in the tourism numbers that we expect, not in a very distant future. Wildlife population in Uganda is growing. We do regular census of the wildlife, and the numbers of the key wildlife species is growing, and we want to invite people to come and see this. We have done a number of translocation programs that take wildlife to some of the areas in this country where we think there is need to add more species. We have done translocation during this period, and we want people to come and witness this. Out of the 12 reserves we have, many of them have wildlife. And Pianupe, for example, has received a very strong translocation of giraffes. He is ready to receive you. It is one of the reserves that you need to come and see. We also have other reserves that you can come and see, including Katonga, Tourism Lake, and East Madi. All these have wildlife, and we want to invite you to come and see. Apart from translocation and looking at wildlife, we also know that during this time that people are not visiting the national parks. The people in the parks also offer additional security to wildlife. So during the time that we did not have very many visitors, we could have seen some increase in some of the poaching activities in the parks. But we recognized this immediately, and we made a full effort and utilized all the staff in the parks to start looking at poaching and other community wildlife problems so that we can ensure the integrity and the protection of wildlife. We have started a through filming in the national. You can come and use your drones to film. What you need to do is get permission to do so. Filming will cost you a very small amount of money. If you're going to a national park that costs you $20, you just have to pay $8, which is 40% of the park entrance, to film the whole park for the whole day. So for 40% of the product cost, you can film and take those images and use them. You can use them as a marketing product on your websites, or you can use them in your homes if you like nature. So filming is one of the things that you can come and do with the airlines, the Civil Aviation Authority. We work with the Uganda Coast Defense Forces and the Media Center to ensure that your filming rights are given within the shortest time. The Uganda Wildlife Authority works with our sister agency, Uganda Tourism Board, very, very closely to get people to come and tour this country. So if there is anyone that is out there and he wants to come, he should be free to contact Uganda Tourism Board. He can also contact Uganda Wildlife Authority directly, but you could also be working with individual tour operators who can reach us if you want to come and participate in the promotion and marketing of this country. With regular partners and attendees of Poverty in the previous years, we have been having regular booths, and as I mentioned previously, this year we are going to be there. I'll be there personally. I want to invite you if there are any issues that you want to ask. There is information that I may not give you now on this platform, but please find me at the booth, and then we can share and learn from each other. What we want to do this year is because of COVID situation, we may not be able to take many of you to the farm trips that we've been having. In the past, we have been arranging farm trips to the park so that people can come to Poverty when they have seen the country. If you're lucky, you're among those that have visited Uganda, well and good. But most of the information about the national parks, you can find it on Uganda Wildlife Authority website. We also have a Facebook page. We also have a Twitter account, and we also have a YouTube account. And this information about Uganda Wildlife Authority can all be accessed. If you are around and you're at the exhibition area hall, please visit also our staff who are at the exhibition booth, and they will give you this information as well. We're very happy about the app for Poverty that Poverty has used this year on their to access the portal for Poverty. It has been very easy, and I'm sure many of you are finding it very easy to reach us. And we do have seen in the past very encouraging and inquisitive questions about state of wildlife products and services. Some information that we will continually answer during this period. Please continue to ask us those questions, and our team will be able to answer you back. Yes, is there any impact that COVID has generated? I would say yes, there has been an impact that COVID has generated. But I think overall, this situation has also taught us new ways of doing business. It has also taught us new ways of thinking. It has also taught us new ways of conservation. And all our efforts are now being put to address situations that should an event like this happen again, we are ready. So let's pick the positive and positive opportunities from COVID, and let's move forward. From our point as Uganda Wildlife Authority, we see optimism at the end. We have seen an increase in the numbers of domestic, and when I say domestic, I mean our East African community visitors coming to Uganda. We have seen an increase in Uganda visiting the protected areas. We have seen families coming as families. We have seen VIPs, important persons, personalities, musicians, influencers coming to this part. And this is a trend that we are witnessing, and I think it's good for tourism. People who largely had only one opportunity to fly out can now look around and find that there is something to see in this country, and we're trying to offer that with the good customer care, and we do hope that whoever comes to the national parks will get good service. I think at this stage I want to thank all of you that have come to the show, or want you to please go on our website, register, and then come. And we also want you to come to the Uganda Wildlife Authority booth where we can register. If you have any questions, please book meetings with us, and we'll be there to assist you. I want to wish you all a very happy and fruitful engagement during Poate 2021. I thank you and welcome to the Pearl of Africa.
Marasa Africa is unique, run by a family that's been attracted to this region for over 4 generations. It's a part of Africa that's both humbling and intriguing, a beautiful balance of wildlife, landscapes and cultures. With their charming safari lodges in East Africa, the family is sharing their unique possibilities. It's essentially Africa in microcosm, from the awesome gorillas of Burundi to the spectacular Murchison Falls. From stunning game drives to white-knuckle rides, there's just so much to see and do. Every one of Marasa Africa's lodges is set in a location of outstanding natural beauty, each exuding exceptional levels of service, quality and comfort. For starters, there's Chobe Lodge, one of the best kept secrets of the Nile. A beautiful balance of 5-star luxury and opulence set in the wildest of landscapes. Located in the Murchison Falls National Park, the breathtaking panoramic views, coupled with the sounds of the River Nile's magnificent rapids, sets the scene for adventures that will impress even the most discerning of visitors. With elegant guest rooms, luxury tents, suites and even a presidential cottage, the lodge has lots to offer. Enjoy one of Uganda's best health spas or get up close and personal with the wildlife, birds, flora and fauna in one of the least explored regions of the park. Perfect for fishing, game drives, birding or just kicking back and chilling out. Also in the Murchison Falls National Park and overlooking the River Nile, there's Para Safari Lodge, a unique blend of comfort, relaxation and adventure. Each of the rooms a haven of style and serenity, complete with balcony and private bathroom. The safari decor of the lodge reflects the bygone era of early explorers, enshrined with a modern touch. There's so much to do here, be it an early morning bush breakfast or an evening game drive or simply just a swim in the pool. It's the most powerful flows of water. In the Queen Elizabeth National Park, Moya Safari Lodge offers an unforgettable experience. Moya Lodge is located on a spectacular peninsula next to the meandering Kazinga Channel, said to contain the world's largest concentration of hippos. And exceptional cuisine, you won't be disappointed. Half the world's remaining population